thank you very much for the update on this situation. Thank you for coming on the line, and our thoughts are with the people in San Bernardino this evening. Thank you. I return to the topic that we're debating, which is we are now engaged in an all-out, full-scale diplomatic war against Syria, against Russia, and against Iran, and it is now perfectly clear that the president, whether he intended it to be a one-off hit with those cruise missiles or not, there are many others using that situation to now argue for regime change. You remember regime change. We did it in Iraq. We did it in Libya. Arguably, we made things worse, not better, but we want, apparently, to do it all again. And I'm asking you, does that regime change make sense? I really don't think it does. But it's your show more than it's mine. So I'm going to ask Alexey in Guildford. Good evening.
Hi, Nigel. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm Russian, and I was a big Trump supporter until all of this happened. I feel like we've been completely duped. You know, Trump ran on the idea that he put America first, he would stop all these interventions, and he's basically broken his biggest promise, which is America first, based on something. I mean, come on. We cannot jump to conclusions. We do not know that Assad has done this. We know that the rebels have used chemical weapons before. I think people like you should really hold Trump to this big time. And I'm not saying that you're making excuses. I really appreciate the way you've reacted.
I've made no excuses at all for this, Alexey. And all I've said is it may be that he as president is privy to information that we're not. You know, he may have absolute proof that Assad did do this, and given how weak America looked in the eyes of the world after Obama put down a red line and didn't act, that's why he did it. So as far as we know so far, Alexey, this could be, as far as the president's concerned, a one-off action. But there is now an absolute wall of pressure building, and it isn't just in the States. It's happening here with our ambassador to the UN, with what Boris Johnson is saying. People are with what Michael Fallon is saying. We're ratcheting this up, and I very much hope, Alexey, I really hope that Trump resists all of this. So I haven't given up faith with him. I know I've been criticised, and the media say, oh, well, Farage turns against Trump. It's the kind of thing they always try to do. But I'm really against this political establishment who seem to have learnt nothing from the past at all. And now, apparently, Mr. Johnson wants to put stronger sanctions on Russia too. So, Alexey, what should we do?
Well, I think, America has no legal right technically to be in Syria right now. They didn't get permission from the UN. I think Trump needs to stick to his promise, which is America first. If they really want Assad to go, then, personally, I don't think it's their say. I don't think it's any of us say. I think it's for the Syrian people to decide. But I'm just so disappointed, I was so... When when Donald Trump had won the presidency and he was talking about how he was going to improve relations with Russia, as a Russian person, I was so happy. I couldn't wait for him to meet with Putin, and because we all know there's no real reason for Russia and the West to be at each other's teeth.
Well, and we do have a common...
We're both fighting ISIS. We have common enemies.
Exactly.
My home city of St. Petersburg got attacked recently, and ISIS claimed responsibility, I think. I'm not sure, but there was a terrorist attack. We've got common enemies. There's no reason for us to have any sort of war or Cold War or diplomatic war, or... I'm just really disappointed.
No, Alexey, you've made your point beautifully and clearly, and I thank you very much indeed for your call. Bridget on Twitter says, no, it will lead to escalation and terrifying consequences. No, this is about an oil pipeline and greed. It's disgusting. And I hope that level heads prevail. No, learn from the Libya lesson. Saeed says, I cannot believe I'm agreeing with Nigel Farage. It happens, Saeed. It does happen. Graham, no, we need to keep out of it. We don't have the men, women, power, or the structure. Well, whether we have the men, women, the power, or the structure militarily, America does. And of that, there's no question, and there's no doubt.